Hello lovelies, it's so lovely to be chatting with you again. As many of you know, I took all of December off posting, so it's felt like a really long time since we caught up. I hope you all had a really lovely December. I definitely feel like I appreciated the break. I've come back feeling a lot more refreshed and my creative cup is full again. We started our morning with a walk. Sky is back here, but she's hiding behind the chair for some reason. She's feeling camera shy. I just went up the Duke of Gordon monument, I think it's called. I parked up at the Dalradi campsite there, which was nice. It's a little bit drizzly, you can probably tell. It's definitely a grey, it's quite mild, but it's this grey kind of drizzly day, which I actually quite enjoy, so I don't mind that. I thought I'd film a little bit of a reset. I'm not someone that feels the need to start lots of new habits or anything like that in the new year. I definitely like to take it slowly, especially as we're still in the winter, and I prefer to sort of listen to the seasons rather than a man-made calendar. But having said all that, I do spend Christmas with my family on the Isle of Arran, so I do need to get some stuff done. You can see Sky's popped in there. I need to do some food shopping because we've got no food in the house. I could do with doing a little bit of cleaning, and I also want to chat with you guys about my intentions and my word for 2025. So let's go food shopping. So it's a little while later. I had to have some lunch as soon as I got back to the tiny home because I felt myself getting a little bit hangry. So I just had a bagel with peanut butter, banana and cinnamon, which is like my go-to super duper quick lunch. And I'm just finishing off my coffee in my wee coffee thermos that I bought myself for my birthday last year and I'm mildly obsessed with. I do love Hydro Flask products. So I thought I'd give you guys a quick New Year food haul, which by the looks of it is primarily tins and fresh produce. If you don't know, I am vegan. I do like to cook quite a lot of my food from scratch, so I don't buy a lot of the kind of vegan meats and things like that. I've got a couple of bits already in the freezer, but this tends to be like the bulk of my shopping. So we'll start with, what should we start with? We'll start with dairies. We've got Oatly. I tend to just to get whatever Oatly milk is on deal. At the moment it's the barista one, so I've got 4 of those. I got the coconut collab yogurt, which is one of my favourite ones. Oh, that's a little squashed because again that was on deal. I do like, my absolute favourite is the Oatly Greek style yogurt, but I can't get that at my local Tesco unfortunately. And then I just got the vegan Flora. I do intend to make some snack bars either this weekend or into the week because it's much cheaper than buying them, but these are on deal, so I did get myself some Trek bars. Couple of packets of stock. This is by far my favourite stock. I just think it's really flavoursome. And then tins, I got 3 chopped tomatoes. I do prefer this to the Tesco own type tomatoes. I just think it's that bit nicer. Got 1 can of cannellini beans and 1 can of black beans. And then it's like Noah's Ark here. I seem to have got 2 of everything else. So I got 2 butter beans, 2 chickpeas and 2 coconut milks. I also got some puff pastry, which isn't something I get every week. It's just because I want to do a squash and mushroom pie this week. I made it before I went away and it was really yummy, so I want to do that again. Pita breads, I always have some of these in the freezer, just easy go-to snack option. I also bought bagels that I've already sampled from my lunch. Got my favourite naan bread. And then the star of the show is all the fruits and veggies. So in all honesty, I had a minor breakdown in Tesco because I didn't notice that my partner's mum, he took her shopping yesterday and she accidentally gathered up all my bags with hers, which meant I didn't realise I didn't have any of my bags, including all my produce bags. So I had to just sort of manage with getting the odd thing in plastic and then buying some new produce bags and keeping some stuff loose. It was very stressful, which is part of the reason why I came home. I needed to have something to eat because I was like, oh, I just can't cope. I put far too much pressure on myself with things like this. I'm just yeah, too much of a perfectionist. It's one of the things I need to change this year because I'm way too hard on myself. What I did manage to get, I got some cauliflower for a curry I want to do. I ended up getting the apples in plastic, but I got the organic ones, so that might outweigh the plastic a little bit. Got a very large sweet potato, so just got 1 of those, and then 3 just baking potatoes. Garlic, got 1 red onion, and then how many's in there? 4 normal onions, some kale, some Brussels sprouts that aren't looking amazing. I feel like we're on the dregs maybe now of Brussels sprouts, but I really want to do a kale, squash and sprout salad thing next week because again that was a recipe I made recently and really liked. And then I got some blueberries. I don't tend to get much fruit, to be honest, in the winter. I tend to try and keep things in season, which is primarily just apples. And then I always have bananas, so I got some bananas as well. But I do like to have a bit of extra fruit now and again, just to make sure I'm getting enough vitamin C. A nice big squash. I got 4 carrots and some chestnut mushrooms, which are my favourite type of mushrooms, or at least the ones you can get in the supermarket. So I just need to put all this away and also move on to the cleaning and organising portion of this video, because my house, in fact, let me show you. This is Sky. And to be honest, the upside of not remembering my bags, I got these cute autumn ones, so silver linings. But anyway, this is the current state of my house. I've got laundry everywhere, only partially dry. This is the reality of trying to like dry laundry in the tiny home in the winter. It's hard work, and yeah, I need to clean the windows, and then the kitchen looks currently like this. You look perfect, don't you? You were like, what's going on? Oh, we're going to do something fun. I'll go do some cleaning and then we'll go out again. Okay, pumpkin? Yeah. Getting too hot, but I'm almost there. I've just got to do the floors and then we can take a break. So it's the next day and I want to do a little bit of food prep. This is something I tend to do on a Sunday to try and get ahead a little bit in the week. It means I tend to eat how I want, so a bit healthier perhaps than I would otherwise, but without taking too much time out of the week when I can be quite busy. But before I get on with that, I thought I would share just a couple of things that I got at Christmas. I don't tend to share many hauls on this channel, you know, I do try and live minimally myself, and I do not buy a lot myself, but also I tend to not ask for too many things during Christmas or anything like that. But I did get some very thoughtful gifts, so I thought you'd maybe be interested in seeing them. The first couple are from a friend, and she knows that I, one, love books, and two, love Gilmore Girls, so she got me a couple of really sweet presents. The first being this tote bag, which is themed by the Stars Hollow, which is where Gilmore Girls is set, if you haven't watched it. And if you haven't watched it, what have you been doing with your life? I highly recommend Bookshop, which is going to be really, really cute and perfect for when I am out book shopping. And she also got me this really sweet bookmark that's also Gilmore Girls themed and obviously ideal for autumn. And then another friend got me another bookish gift. You really cannot go wrong with me when it comes to gifts if you do something book themed, and she got me this really sweet candle. I'm guessing most of this is from Etsy, obviously I don't know, but knowing my friends, that's probably where they got them. And a book themed kind of scented candle is always my favourite. You can't beat it in my opinion. And then my mum got me some really lovely things, all kind of along the themes of writing, which is something I want to focus on this year, which I'll chat about later. First one being this really gorgeous notebook journal type thing, and it says To the Wonder Writing and Creativity Journal, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it's got it's all lined paper on the inside, and it's got like quotes and stuff at the bottom, which are really lovely, but it's also got some gorgeous like illustrations and things throughout. I think she said she got this for herself when she went to Findhorn and then thought I'd like it, so she hunted it down as well. But yeah, it's a really, really stunning notebook. And then she made me a couple of things. So if you don't know, my mum is an artist and she has her own Etsy store, and she is immensely talented, so I'll link her store down below because she has some beautiful things on there. So the first thing she created, which I think is maybe a product she sells or is going to sell, is this kind of like slow writing kit. So she makes this pouch up, and then it's full with lots of lovely bits and pieces, including like a mini journal on here. She lives on the Isle of Arran, so a lot of her artwork is inspired by the island. And then you've got lots of different like post tags. Each one of these will be a bit different, but this is happens to be what's in mine. And some envelopes. It's basically to inspire letter writing, which is something I'd love to do more, and I'm going to be doing more as part of my membership actually on my Substack. So that's really sweet. And she's tied it all up with this ribbon, and she found this vintage brooch that she used. She's got all sorts of things like this in her house, which is just stunning. I think the most special thing I got was this journal that my mum made me. It does come with a little tag as well, and she wrapped it in another piece of lovely ribbon, but it's just stunning. So this is the front cover of it. And then on the back, it's another bit of music with things tucked in here, little postal tags and stuff. But it's gorgeous throughout. So she's done this one themed specifically for me. She made it for me. So she knows I love Alice in Wonderland. So that's sort of on the front page. Got a little pocket there with other bits and pieces in it. It's absolutely like full of beautiful illustrations and original artwork, a lot of handmade papers, some of it she's made herself. And you know, there's still room in here to do things, so I can still write, I can do my own illustrations, maybe some paintings, I can stick my own things in here. And it's super clever because it opens this way, but it also opens like this. So you've got like double the room in here, which is really clever. So this is a very special journal that I will absolutely treasure, and I'll link her Etsy shop down below because she has lots of things like this. I mean, she only makes things in small batches because these things take time, but hopefully there'll be a few on there if you guys want to check them out. But also she is considering, and I think she will by the time this video goes out, putting up a listing to do journals to order so they can be customized by certain specifications. Like for me, this one's a bit Alice in Wonderland themed. So yeah, really, really special, and I was quite emotional opening this actually because it was just a really special thing to have. So now I'm gonna get on and do a little bit of food prep. So I've done my food prep, I've got my laptop ready, and it's time for us to chat all things planning. So as I alluded to earlier in the video, I am not someone to set myself really ambitious New Year goals. I used to do that when I was younger, and inevitably I would set goals that, in all honesty, I felt like I should be setting rather than ones that I really wanted to achieve. I'd be unrealistic in them, and then, like a lot of people, by the end of January I'd kind of given up on them entirely. But I do think this is a really good time of year to reflect and kind of plan what the kind of year you want to have. I think winter is the perfect season for reflection anyway, and then when the spring comes around, you know, if you want to try new things, you have that kind of burst of energy, and that's when I like to do that. So this year I've done the same that I did last year. I've chosen a word that kind of is my overarching guideline of how I would like to live this year, and then I've set intentions that kind of reflect that and a little bit more specific. And as always, I do all my planning in Notion, and I use my So Living planner, which I do sell the template for, on my Etsy store, and it's been updated and kind of redesigned for 2025, primarily because I really wanted to have my word and my intentions front and centre on the dashboard. Before I had them kind of tucked away in another area of my Notion, which was okay, but I just feel like if they want to be my kind of guidance for the entire year, I want to be able to see them every single day. So in terms of the word I've chosen, I let that come to me naturally. I don't try and overthink it, and the word that I have decided on for 2025 is explore. Many of you know that my word last year was joy, and that worked really well for me. I wrote a Substack piece actually about reflecting on my year of joy, so I'll link that down below in case you guys want to see it. But it was such a lovely word of my year, and it was all about finding joy in a slower pace of life, because last year was the first full year that I had being self-employed and being able to manage my own time. And I think to the end of the year I felt that that worked really well in kind of steadying me in that life, but I feel like I've got more energy in me now. I feel I want to push myself, I feel I want to have adventures basically, and so explore really feels like it works well for me as I am right now. And then I've set 5 intentions that kind of link with that and cover all different aspects of my life. They're not necessarily in priority order, it's just the ways I kind of wrote them out. And the first one on the list is to nurture my inner writer. So that's kind of a work goal intention really, but it's also something that I find a huge amount of joy with in my own time. I do class myself as a writer first, and that's something that I really shifted with last year in particular. You know, when I started producing content online, I started with a blog way back in 2020 as a lockdown project, and it's kind of grown into this whole content platform. And for a while there, you know, I was really focusing on this YouTube, but I always continued with my writing, and last year I stepped that up on my Substack, and now that is my priority. That's where I want to be spending a lot of time, and I also want to be working on other writing projects this year, so I feel like having that first is just a fantastic reminder. And I keep it quite vague by saying nurture my inner writer, but that means doing things and putting myself in positions where I encourage writing. So if, you know, going to have like different adventures, different experiences. I talk a lot about doing like artist dates and solo dates here on this channel, where I go and do something by myself and really live in the moment, like going to a gallery or a bookshop, or obviously spending a lot of time in nature, and also of course putting aside time to do the actual writing. So I'm really excited about that intention, and I think it just works perfectly for this year. And my second intention is to immerse myself in nature daily. This is kind of a follow on from last year. Again, I think last year was something along the lines of prioritise an hour walking in nature every day. I think I kept this one vague, you know, making sure that I get in nature daily is sufficient. I don't really feel like I need to put a time limit on it anymore, because I naturally do spend at least an hour in nature pretty much every day, partly because we have an active border collie, but also because I need it, and it kind of links, these all kind of link really, but like I've learned that I write best after I've walked, and to break up work with walks really does fuel my creativity. So it's not necessarily going on really long hikes, you know, every single day. It can be sticking to my local area, but just sort of chipping away at it and spending time in nature as often as I can is really great for my physical health. Obviously walking is great for you, but for my mental health it's absolutely fundamental for me to be happy and to help with any anxieties. It's just, yeah, it's such an important thing for me, so it's always going to be an intention. And then I've put as my third one, enjoy adventures away from home. So I could be a little bit of a homebody, like I do love my home, and I do love spending time here. I love my routines and things like that, but I can get a little bit stuck in a rut with it, and I do think getting out of the house again is really good for my mental health. Obviously it aligns with the word explore, and I got my own van, my own camper van last year, so I really want to spend a lot of time in that, going out on adventures. But it also means just, you know, an adventure can mean whatever you want. It can mean going to a cafe to do some work sometimes, it can mean meeting up with friends, it can mean solo dates. It's just, again, these intentions are just keeping it broad. But I do think, yeah, getting out of the house more in 2025, and I think it'll be really, really good for me. My fourth intention is to do with reading. I didn't set one for last year because I was just really happy with my reading. I didn't feel like I needed to change anything, and that's still the case, but I definitely want to broaden it. So my intention is to read widely and bravely. So again, this is fitting in with the explore. I want to read different genres. I want to push myself a little bit with reading stuff that's maybe outside of my comfort zone. I feel like I really lived in my comfort zone a lot last year because I'd spent the last few years kind of reading more, and last year I read 70 odd books. You know, it was the most I'd ever read in a year, but I did feel that by the end of it I was feeling a little bit burnt out with the same kind of story. I'm interestingly actually getting more interested in non-fiction, but I also want to read other things that maybe would put me off or scare me a little bit, stuff like literary fiction, you know, that kind of work that can feel a little bit more difficult to access, but I think it will be worth the time. You know, I'm not going to worry about reading a certain number of books. I never really do, but I'm happy to, you know, for this year to read less books, but to really widen out when it comes to like genres and authors and audiences as well. I definitely want to read some more children's books. She was 2 of my 5 stars last year. One was a YA, which I do read occasionally anyway, but one was a middle grade book and I loved it, and it was one of my favourite books for last year. So I definitely want to read bravely this year. I did actually write a review of my top 10 books for last year and chat a little bit more about my intentions and stuff for my reading for my Substack members, so I'll link that as well below if you want to check that out. And then finally I've put have fun with creativity. Again, this is something similar to what I had last year, and it's just building on that a little bit more. I'm really pleased with the progress I made. It was probably the most challenging intention I set for myself last year, was to find creative hobbies or find time for creative hobbies outside of my job. I just feel like I always struggle to prioritize it. You know, if I ever had any spare time, I felt like I should be doing something productive, or I would fall into comfortable hobbies and habits like reading, walking, that kind of thing. But I did start my journaling practice last year, and that's something I want to continue onwards for 2025, kind of art journaling, junk journaling, that kind of thing, just doing stuff for fun. And obviously I've got that beautiful journal now from my mum, so I can't wait to start using that. And let me know if you want to see more of that on this channel, because I'm quite interested to share my journaling journey. I share some of it on Substack, but I'd be happy to include more of it on here if you would be interested. And that's it. That's all my intentions for 2025. I feel like they fit exactly what I want for this year, and I'm really excited for this year, and I feel like I'm starting in a really good place. So I hope you enjoyed this first video back and this little reset. Do let me know what kind of content you want to see this year on this channel. I'm very flexible. I definitely feel like I'm leaning more into kind of just fly on the wall, almost kind of day in the life, week in the life, that kind of content, sharing a whole like mix of things, being really real and raw with you guys. But I definitely want to continue sharing maybe more cinematic stuff when I'm out in nature, particularly when I do like my van vlogs, things like that. So yeah, do let me know what you'd love to see. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you next time.